What do you got, 13?
Yes, and it should be starting with Fire Station 1.
More relaxing than the last several.
You think I got you next to me?
Yeah. Yep,
Take a deep breath and,
yep. And move on.
fresh air.
And do we have Chris on the line?
Chris is here?
Okay.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Mayor, I think we're ready.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we stopped at police department expenditures, so we're going to pick up on page 13 of 24 of the general fund under fire station number 1. So as I indicated the other night, the city is negotiating an employment contract with the local 1952, and it's anticipated that this contract agreement will not be settled before the end of the year, and thus will most likely proceed to arbitration. Therefore, this budget does not reflect any increases to base salary benefits. So as you're aware, the city maintains 3 fire stations. Expenditures for Fire Station 1, which is located at 8th and Orange, is the first building that we'll discuss. So for the most part, the expenditures for cleaning and paper supplies is the same at $1,800. Communication, $100 increase, $2,400. Electric, the same at $10,000. Natural gas, $100 increase to $6,100. Water sewer, $100 decrease to $1,600. Garbage, the same at $800. Grounds maintenance, the same at $1,000. But we will have an increase at Fire Station 1 to building maintenance and repair. It's increasing by $6,500 to $11,500, and that is because of putting a roof on over the boiler room at Station 1. Also, there'll be,
Was that planned, Mayor, or was that
well, we have a plan to replace the roofs on different buildings in the city, but during a recent storm event, it's a rubber roof and it kind of like peeled back, so it needs to be fixed. So we just changed things around a little bit.
Thank you.
And then under equipment maintenance and repair, we need to replace a lawnmower, a riding mower. So that will increase from $200 to $5,500. That's a $5,300 increase. Contracted services, $300 decrease to $2,700 for a total of $43,400. That's an $11,600 or 36% increase, in mainly due to building and equipment maintenance increases. So now we'll go to the Bureau of Fire itself, which is a very large category. The first several line items, again, are the salary and benefits for all of the career firefighters and the fire and deputy fire commissioner. So in order to get the true salary, you would need to include not only the salary from one of the first 2 line items in this category, but also the administrative leave, vacation, sick time allotments as well. So going down to educational allowance, this is a contractual item. We're keeping that the same at $5,250. And again, some of these things may change due to contract negotiations or arbitration. Office supplies, the same at $900. Postage decreased to $700. Vehicle fuel, and I want to indicate that in 2019, the collective group of volunteer fire companies had asked the city to pick up the costs of fuel used in the volunteers apparatus that the city utilizes to respond to calls and also to perform inspections. So the city budgeted an additional $8,000 in 2019 for adding the cost of that additional fuel into our budget. We continued this support in 2020, 2021, and we're proposing to maintain this activity in 2022. The next line item is general expenses. That's increasing from 800 to 1,500. That's mainly because of moving expenses. I had indicated the other night that we'll be contracting with a third party for the moving of some of the items here from the municipal building to City Hall. And so we divvied it up into all of the different divisions or departments. Operating supplies, the same at 2,000. Vehicle repairs, the same at 15,000. Hardware, software for the MDTs, the same at 2,500. The next line item, we had not budgeted any money in this line item last year. So the city previously funded 4 volunteer fire chief positions. We weren't able to fill the 4th position for several years. And so we eliminated that one position from the budget for quite some time. In the year 2020, both of our long-tenured chiefs resigned from their duties, leaving a chief in training as the only active volunteer chief. And the fire commissioner had attempted recruitment through his relationships to no avail. And the city, looking at its volunteer roster, could not come up with an active, qualified volunteer to fill the position. Additionally, as the number of active volunteer firefighters continued to diminish across not only Lebanon City, our county, but our country as a whole, we have to recognize the fact that we have less volunteers and less people that are able to step up to fill in a leadership role. So we have to plan accordingly so that we can provide adequate and safe fire protection. Therefore, last year we eliminated the volunteer fire chief positions from the budget, and we hired a full-time deputy fire commissioner. And the last time we had a deputy fire commissioner on the roster or in the budget would have been the 2009 budget or 2008 budget. So the 2022 budget, what we're proposing to do is to add $2,700 back into the budget for a minimal use of 1 volunteer fire chief to assist with the career chief's vacation, time off, and things like that. Between the two of them, they have to cover 365, 24/7, 365 days a year. And on occasion, when one is off or not scheduled on for the weekend and something comes up that the other one needs to have off for some reason, it's just nice to have that extra cushion. And again, Larry Loper is our chief that had agreed that he could fill in. So we would like to add $2,700 back into the budget for that. Our fire prevention program will remain the same at $900. Communication will bump up by $500 to $3,600. That's mainly to cover the cost of a cell phone stipend. Communication for radio and other equipment maintenance, we're bumping that up to $2,500. We had decreased it to $500 last year because we thought we were going to implement our new radio program, but we're waiting on the county right now. So we do have additional expenses until we can get that system up and running with the county. So we're going back to what we've been budgeting for the last several years of $2,500. The next line item for advertising and printing of forms is the same at $800. Equipment maintenance and repair, the same at $3,000. Dues, subscriptions, and memberships, we decreased that from $2,000 to $350. Contracted services, we increased from $5,500 to $6,600, and again, that includes moving expenses of $1,000. Civil service, testing requirements to establish eligibility lists, the same at $2,500. Training, the same at $6,500. The next line item for volunteer fire relief, that is an in and out. We received that from the state, and then we have 30 days to turn around and give it to the Volunteer Fire Relief Association. So it came in lower than the last several years, and so we are keeping it in line with what came in October, which is around $59,550. We also give $4,000 contribution to all of our volunteer fire companies. There's 9 volunteer fire companies that are still up and running, and that would be $36,000. That's the same. Safety equipment and safety clothing, we usually budget it $25,000. We increased it by $4,000 in order to replace fire hose. And I don't know, Commissioner, if you want to talk a minute about what we're doing with the fire hose and the grants and what we'll be getting out of that.
We currently have $25,570 of fire hose on order. With this year's grants, we just ordered $23,057 of hose for next year using next year's grants. Engine 16, the supply hose is failing at a fairly rapid rate, so that's another $11,315. And we just ordered 7 new sections of hand line that were destroyed this year in field testing, which is another $1,000. The city's cost of all of that is about 6.5% using the state grants and the companies helping the Liberty, the Washington, the Chemical, the Union, and putting it all together. Our 2.5-inch hose, the white stuff that we use in dead lace is from 1976. So our 3-inch hose, when I started years ago, every engine had a 3-inch hose with our supply hose. It was all bought in the 80s, and all the engines now have 5-inch supply hose. So the 3-inch is quite old. We've gotten rid of a lot of it through city auction. Hose that is older than 2000 can no longer be repaired. And almost all of our hose, as far as 3-inch, 2.5, we've been modernizing with pre-connected. All of our pre-connected lines are colorized, and our inventory is good. It's the rest of it. After this project, we're gonna have a firm hose inventory, and then every year around September, when hose gets tested, we'll know what failed. And then we come to budget and say we'll need X amount of hose to stay with it. It'll just be a repair item from that point on. So this is a huge boost to us. We maintain about 32,000 feet of hose.
Thank you, Commissioner. Melissa, can you do me a favor? When the staff speak, can you hand them the microphone?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. So moving on to Fire Station 2, cleaning and other supplies will remain the same at $1,500, communication the same at $2,300, electric the same at $4,000, natural gas the same at $4,200, water sewer the same at $900, garbage the same at $800, grounds maintenance the same at $250. And then the big difference here is building maintenance and repair. So we went from $47,000 to $4,000. It's a $43,000 difference. The main thing there is we had a roof replacement project occurring in 2021 that we won't have in 2022. Equipment maintenance and repair, budgeting the same at $200, and contracted services budgeting the same at $1,200. So we decreased by $43,000 to $19,350, and again, it's due to the roof replacement last year's budget. Fire Station 3, budgeting the same for cleaning and paper supplies at $500, the same for electric $3,000, same gas $4,000, water sewer increased to $600 from $450, building maintenance and repairs, a decrease of $2,000 from $5,000. Contracted services the same at $2,000. So we have a $1,850 decrease to $13,100. And that is mainly due to a $1,850, Fire Station 3 will decrease by $1,850, mainly due to a decrease in building maintenance. So if you look at just the Bureau of Fire, including the 3 fire stations and the Bureau, adding them all together, those divisions, it will decrease by $38,270. So moving on to health and housing.
Mayor, would now be
Yes.
a good time to ask a question about that? So
Back to where we give the fire stations the donations, does that generally, do we hold that money generally till the end?
We
'Cause
give it
it's-
quarterly.
Okay, oh, I see, I see. And then, with the unknown with the, negotiations, are we budgeted properly for increases, you know, like mildly, or not really? Are we just kind of going at it like, we're budgeting what we had for last year and,
We're budgeting what we had for last year
okay.
in this division.
Mayor, I also have a fire department question.
Okay.
Obviously, the commissioner has talked to us on several occasions about the condition of equipment, and I am well aware how big a nut it is when we talk equipment. How do we have a game plan? Should we be putting a significant amount of money in capital reserve for this? Like, I'm concerned that when that time comes, we're going to be stuck looking down a pretty ugly pipe.
So we do have some money in capital reserve, and I'm proposing, once I get numbers from the fire commissioner, but I can't move forward with anything until I get those numbers. Once I have those numbers, then I'm proposing to put our revenue replacement from the American Rescue money into what I believe I would need for the upcoming purchases that we have discussed. So the commissioner and I have been discussing for several years. Our next proposed purchase was supposed to be a rescue truck from the Independent, and they decided just this year that they were not going to move forward and go through with that purchase. So that's kind of changed our game plan and our time frame for the next pieces to be purchased. So we have it planned out for several years, more than several years, but now we're kind of regrouping and changing the timeline a little bit because of that change. So again, as soon as I get the numbers from the commissioner, I'm going to be finalizing my plan, but we should be okay.
Okay, all right. Well, ultimately, that's all I care. So thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome. So we employ 1 full-time supervisor inspector and 5 part-time code inspectors in the public safety department. By adding 1 full-time and 1 part-time inspector since 2010, the city has significantly increased the number of new cases that we're been dealing with. And the increased workload has caused growing pains within the department and really made it more challenging to effectively handle. So we added the supervisory role in 2020 to help guide and support, develop staff to ensure that both employee and the city would be successful as it relates to our property maintenance program. And that has been huge. It has made a great positive impact by adding that supervisory position. We've seen many benefits, including Glenn, Mr. Llanos, he's also our food safety inspector, and we've increased the number of food safety inspections that we've been able to perform, and also increase the education of eating establishments on what they need to do to have a safer establishment and how they handle their food and prep it and whatnot. And we've also been able to spend more time on structural deficiencies of buildings rather than just the nuisance complaints, which are really the high weeds and grass and trash complaints. So it, again, has made a huge positive impact. Now, I'd also like to remind everyone that 3 of those part-time inspectors are paid through CDBG funding and not out of the general fund budget. So in the general fund budget, you will not see all of the employees. 3 of them, 3 of the part-time, are again paid through CDBG funding. So again, the first several line items are salaries and benefits for the employees in that category. Moving down to office supplies, we're budgeting the same at 3,500. Our postage, we increased because we're doing more certified mail, more, unfortunately, notices of violation. That's an increase of 2,500 to 7,000. Vehicle fuel, $500 decrease to 2,500. General expenses, the same at 3,000. Operating supplies, the same at 1,500. Vehicle repairs, the same at 3,000. The mediation services, so Jubilee Ministries used to perform that benefit for us, and they no longer provide that service, and I've been working on finding another nonprofit agency that handles it at a low cost. And I found an agency in Philadelphia that will train people to be mediators in this type of, the property maintenance, not like a marriage counselor or mediator or something like that, but for property maintenance and civil disputes between neighbors. So we're looking into what we would have to do to get certified, or to have, a couple people certified to do that. So we're keeping the $500 in the budget. I'm not sure at this point what it would cost.
And at one point, Mayor, we had volunteers doing that, is that correct?
Well, it was Jubilee Ministries.
And so-
They had people that
So
were
those-
certified.
They were doing it through them then,
Mhm.
okay.
And we would just give them a $500 donation, and they just did it as a service to the community. It was a great service, so it's unfortunate that it stopped, but. Communication, budgeting the same at 3,800. Advertising and printing, budgeting the same at 2,500. Contracted services, the same at 18,000. Training, the same at 5,000. So we have a $1,778 increase in health and housing division, or 0.6% increase, for a total of $298,985. That's mainly due to an increase in postage cost. The next line item is emergency management, and that is for communication. Line item for the 911 fee that we pay as a municipality, as well as all of the municipalities in the county. And that's based on per capita. It's 70 cents per capita. We increased that because of our increase in population due to the 2020 census. So we're proposing $936 increase to $18,770. And the last item in public safety is our ambulance service fee. We had entered into an MOU with other municipalities in our region of the county and the First Aid and Safety Patrol for 3 years. And it was $4 the first year, $4.50 the second, and the last year's $5 per capita. So that increases it from $114,647 to $134,070. It's a 17% increase. I can't read my writing. $19,423 increase. So overall, public safety is increasing by $60,407. It's a 1.7% increase to $3,535,088. So moving on to Public Works. So our first division is engineering. Again, the first several line items are for salaries and benefits. So if you go down to office supplies, we're budgeting the same at $1,600. Postage, $100 increase to $1,300. Vehicle fuel, the same, $50 decrease to $200. General expenses, the same at $800. Vehicle repairs, the same at $500. Advertising and printing, the same at $100. Contracted services, so you're going to see a $10,500 increase to $76,200. And then training is the same at 800. So overall, there's a $9,801 increase, or 4%, to $248,994. That's mainly due to the increase for contracted engineering services, and also due to moving expenses for the move to City Hall. The next division is Highway General Services. Again, the first several line items are salaries and benefits. If you move down to heating, this is the heating oil for 7th and Oak, $1,500 increase to $7,500. Vehicle fuel, $700 increase to $7,000. Clothing and uniform, $900 increase to $3,500. General expenses, the same at $1,000. Operating supplies, an increase of $800 to $5,500. Vehicle repairs, the same at $2,500. Communication, an increase of $1,550 to $10,250. Advertising and printing, the same at $100. Electric, the same at $7,000. Natural gas for 10th and Oak Garage, the same at $5,500. Water sewer, the same at $1,500. Garbage removal from all of the city baskets downtown and our facilities, the same at $10,000. Building maintenance and repairs, an increase of $2,500 to $28,000. And I'll come back at the end. Contracted services, an increase of $1,500 to $3,500, and training, the same at $500. So overall, there's a $7,404 increase, or 2.85%, and that is mainly due to the roof replacement at Highway North, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with that, that's what we're calling the Brant's, the building that we acquired during the bridge project, the Brant's Moving and Storage Garage up on North 9th Street. We call it Highway North. It's going to cost $23,000 to replace that roof. And then also we're doing a software upgrade to the 8th and Walton Street camera, and that's $1,021. So that's why you'll see the increase there. Moving to traffic control, again, the first several line items are salary and benefits, and if you move down to vehicle fuel, it's the same at $3,000. And then the next line item is traffic control operating supplies for streets. So this is a $29,000 increase from $19,000 to $48,000. And the reason why is we recategorized controllers and conflict monitors. So last year and the year before, we had it under contracted services, thinking that we would have CM High, our electrical contractor, replace those for us. But we found that we could save money by doing it ourselves. So we moved it into operating supplies, and we'll have our staff person change them out. So that's why you'll see that big increase in that line item. It's just coming from contracted services. Signs and paint in parking lots and curbs, the same at $3,000. Vehicle repairs, the same at $5,000. Printed forms, an increase of $1,200. This is to account for additional signs that will be needed for no parking on 10th Street paving. That's a total of $2,200. Maintenance and repair of machinery and equipment, an increase of $9,089 to $15,589, and that is because of the purchase of a thermal paint machine for $13,589. So many years ago, back when I was at the borough, we had to change the type of paint that we use on our streets. We couldn't use lead-based paint anymore. Lead-based paint would last for several years. And now the paint, if we're lucky, lasts 6 months. So you can imagine with all of the lines, and not only in parking lots, but on the streets and stop bars and turning lanes and arrows and center lines, and could go on, it doesn't last long. And there's no way in a city, so tape is very expensive. So this is a machine that is kind of the best of both worlds. And so we're going to purchase that, and we took into consideration the material and propane that we have to buy for this machine, and it is cheaper to go this route than to buy the tape that we apply with a torch, a propane torch. The next line item is contracted services. You would think that this would greatly decrease because we recategorized the controllers and conflict monitors to operating supplies, but it's only a $3,000 decrease, $3,900, excuse me. But that's because every other year we do line painting, and this is the budget year that we would do line painting. The line painting is budgeted to be $22,000. So that's why it's almost the same. Training, the same at $300. Streetlights and parking lot supplies, the same at $4,500. Electricity at our parking lots, decrease of $500 to $2,500. And then the next three line items are salary and FICA and workers' comp for our 2 part-time meter collectors. And then parking meter repairs and maintenance, $400 decrease to $15,600. And then contracted services, a decrease of $37,000 to $16,000. So overall, the traffic control budget will decrease by $1,762, or 0.5%. And the changes in this division, again, are an increase in the traffic control operating supplies, purchase of the thermal paint machine, and also the rescheduling of the paving of 9th and Walton Lot to 2023 or later due to a significant price increase. We had received the bid this year. We were planning on paving that lot this year, but it came in at quadruple the estimate that we had last year. So we are going to save for that and rebid it next year, see if it comes down at all, and if we have enough money, and if not, we may have to wait till 2023. Or, yeah, 2023. So moving to highway maintenance. Again, the first several line items are salaries and benefits. So if we go to the next page, to operating supplies. This is our hot mix and cold patch and whatnot, budgeting the same at $14,000. Our vehicle fuel for our winter maintenance vehicles, the same at $6,500. Our vehicle repairs for our winter maintenance vehicles, the budgeting the same at $10,000. Repairs of tools and machinery, $200 increase to $700. Vehicle fuel for highway maintenance vehicles, the same at $4,000. Vehicle repairs for highway maintenance vehicles, $500 extra for $6,500. New line item, vehicle replacement. We have a 1995 heavy-duty four-wheel drive pickup truck, 1995, with a lot of miles on it, and we're going to replace that next year. So the total package, the truck with the outfitting, with a plow, is $58,691. We're going to purchase a camper. This budget year, we purchased a trailer, so there's a $400 decrease to $2,500. Our county aid, we're estimating that it will slightly increase by $900 and some due to the new census count. We budget $30,000 for sinkhole repairs, so there's a $1,337 increase to the $56,814. Training, we're budgeting the same at $300, so total division is $334,047, which is a $58,011 increase, and that is because of the purchase of the replacement truck. Moving on to street cleaning, again, the first several line items, salary and benefits. Moving down to vehicle fuel for 2 sweepers, we're budgeting the same at $9,000. Vehicle repairs, $2,000 increase to $9,000. Sweeper debris removal, we're budgeting $2,000 extra to $32,000. Total of the division is $208,006. It's $5,323 increase, or 2.6%. And that's mainly due to the 3% increase in salaries and an increase in sweeper debris disposal cost. Moving to parks, playgrounds, and other public properties. First, several line items, salary and benefits. We had to bump up the summer helpers' salary a little bit more than what we normally do because of trying to get help. We were not able to get any this year, so we'll be increasing the starting salary of that position. Looking at vehicle fuel, we're budgeting the same at $5,000. General expenses, we're increasing by $500 to $5,000. That's mainly because we're going to need additional flags at the City Hall building, out front in the circle. We're going to be, of course, the United States flag, the state flag, and the City Hall flag, and then HAC will have their flag as well. Operating supplies, $500 increase to $3,000. Vehicle repairs, the same at $5,000. Electric, the same at $7,000. Natural gas, $500 increase to $1,500. Water sewer, the same at $2,000. Garbage removal, $200 increase to $2,400. Grounds maintenance, $13,090, sorry. My pen was losing ink. I should have changed it sooner. So it's a decrease of $1,390, or 5.7% in grounds maintenance, for a total of $23,000. Improvement, repairs, and maintenance, an increase of $69,383 for a total of $146,775. The main reason for that is because we have a lot of property along 9th Street where it needs to have curb and sidewalk replaced due to the resurfacing project. As we've gone through, or we will be, each phase of the resurfacing project, and of course, when I talk about the resurfacing project, I mean the 422-72 project. We replaced our curbing and sidewalk that was needed to be replaced along Walnut Street. And we're doing the same along 10th Street. We will along 9th. And then for Cumberland Street, the streetscape will cover part of that, but we do have some other properties that are located outside of the streetscape area. So it's $140,700 worth of curb and sidewalk improvements. So that's a biggie. The next item is building repairs and maintenance, and that is a $5,115 decrease to $11,385. Equipment maintenance and repair is $15,166. That's an $11,166, or 2.8% increase, and that's mainly because we're buying sweeper kits for the Kubotas. So we have Kubotas that we use to plow snow on the Veterans Memorial Walkway, along the bridges, and other city-owned sidewalks. And sometimes when you have a dusting, it's not, you can't really plow it. And then if we don't get it right away, because you just have to, you'd have to go out with a shovel. It would take a lot more time. If we use these brushes, I don't know if anyone ever noticed, the county has one, and they use it out here. They're really nice, and it's just more efficient. And then training, the same at $250. So we have a $82,992 increase to $415,616. That's 24.9% increase. And that's, again, mainly because of the increase in the amount of curbing and sidewalk replacement work along 9th Street on city-owned properties. Okay, here's the big one. There's a lot of changes here. So this is the municipal building category, which is also considered City Hall category, and we've added extra line items because we thought it would be less confusing to do that. So we have, for the first half of the year, we'll have share of expenses here in the municipal building that we share with the county. We basically are obligated to pay 23% due to the percentage of ownership in this building. And then at the same time, we'll be paying for expenditures that are occurring at the City Hall property. So this year, for about a half a year, and next year for about a half a year, we kind of are doing double duty for building maintenance of a municipal building, City Hall. So after next year, or after halfway through next year, we'll just be responsible for City Hall because we'll have settlement on this building and pass ownership, transfer ownership fully to the county. So it will come down after next year, or it should, or better. So with that in mind, and I'll try and explain as I go through. So communication would just be for City Hall only. We're installing a fiber optic line at the new City Hall building, and then of course we'll have our phone services, which will be probably something similar to the phones that we have here, or the same type of a similar comparable system. So of course we didn't have anything budgeted this year for City Hall, so it would be $21,000. Building maintenance just for the city side of the municipal building, meaning our wings where we're 100% responsible. So that would be for maintenance and paper supplies, air conditioning, heating repairs, plumbing, whatnot. That's a decrease of $7,258 to $6,242. Building maintenance of the City Hall only. So again, paper supplies, any grounds maintenance, plumbing repairs, roof repairs, elevator maintenance, general maintenance, equipment repairs, and there's a lot of equipment in that penthouse. So that will be a total of $54,500. Then we move to contracted services, just cleaning the municipal building city side for half a year, $10,500. So that's a decrease of $46,685. And then you turn around, and we have contracted services for cleaning just the City Hall, what we would be responsible for half a year. That's $40,000. Then we have shared electric at the municipal building with the county, a decrease to $15,500. Shared electricity at City Hall for the whole year at $120,000. We're looking into what we can do to try and bring that down. We actually talked about the possibility. We don't know if it's feasible. We've reached out and we're working on it, but of possibly putting solar panels on the City Hall.
On the roof.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah. Then our shared cleaning services and public supplies at City Hall with HAC for the common areas. So according to our lease agreement, they would pay 40% of cleaning of the common areas and the cleaning paper supplies. So that would be a total of $18,970. So for the first half of the year, because we're not occupying the site and construction is going on, we're not going to be cleaning like we would once we're in and there's no construction. So you can see from January to June, it's, about $3,000. And then for the second half of the year, we're looking at probably $12,000. And then for shared personnel costs here at the municipal building, we share the security, the building security, and the mail clerk. So we would pay 23% of that, so that's a decrease to $11,500. And then we will also share personnel costs at City Hall, and that will be for a facilities officer. That person will be responsible for overseeing the equipment preventative maintenance items and general grounds maintenance, making sure that things get done, making sure that the building is secure, but not a police officer, but they would probably have a security flavor to that as well. So we are in the process of creating that job description. We've done a lot of research, and HAC would pay 40% of that person and their benefits. So that would be, just lost my line up, $39,780 for half of a year. And then shared natural gas at the municipal building, $2,300. Shared natural gas at City Hall, and that would be for the whole year. That's $24,000. And again, you know, HAC would pay for 40% of that. Shared communication here at the municipal building, a decrease to $2,850. Shared maintenance and repair here at the municipal building, we again pay 23% of the preventative maintenance agreements for the elevators, the water treatment, fire alarm, lawn services, whatnot. That will decrease to $7,350 for half of a year. And then the shared maintenance and repair at City Hall, this would be just the preventative maintenance service agreements. I have them all listed out. That would be $34,505. We're looking at HVAC controls, preventative maintenance, fire alarm sprinkler system, the monitoring of that system, the annual water maintenance program for the closed hot water system, elevator preventative maintenance, and emergency generator preventative maintenance. And then, of course, we have shared sewer water here at the municipal building for a half a year, $1,150. Shared water and sewer for the entire year at City Hall, $4,000. Shared garbage removal for half a year here at $600, and shared garbage for the whole year at City Hall, $3,000. It's a $107,410 increase, or 34.6%, for a total of $417,747. So building and zoning. First several line items is salary and benefits. The first line item that we will discuss is postage. That will remain the same at $1,500. Vehicle fuel, a decrease of $250 to $250. General expenses, this is mainly the costs of holding the hearings, and all of the related costs for that remains the same at $30,000. Operating supplies for the zoning office, increase of $300 to $800. Vehicle repairs, an increase to $500. Communication, the same at $800. Advertising and printing, this is mainly the advertisements for the zoning hearing board hearings, the printing of forms. That is a $1,000 increase to $5,000. So really, if you're looking at the cost to hold the zoning hearing board hearings, you're looking at about $35,000. But it's a lot of money. And we're not allowed to recoup all of that. We're only allowed, according to the municipality's planning code, there's only certain items that we're allowed to recoup 50% of the cost, and it's not all of the costs. And the most expensive expenditure for those hearings is the zoning hearing board solicitor. That's very costly, and we're not allowed to recoup any of that. And that's according to state MPC. Dues, subscriptions, and memberships, a decrease of $600 to $300. Contracted services, this is when we need a third party advice on building code. Budgeting the same at $500. Training, $50 increase to $800. So that's a $693 increase. Basically, it's the same, for a total of $133,150. So the MS4 division, I'm sure you're well aware, but just in case anyone listening in the audience is not. So in a developed urban environment like the city of Lebanon, each developed property generates stormwater runoff. Impervious surface is the primary indicator of the generation of stormwater and usage of our stormwater system that we have in place. We are required as an urbanized area or as an MS4 to obtain a permit from DEP, and that permit allows us to discharge the stormwater that's generated from all of the properties in the city into a stream, creek, river, some type of waterway that will eventually end up in the Susquehanna River, the Chesapeake Bay, whatnot. So with our 2018 permit renewal, we were mandated to further reduce sediment and contaminants by 10%. And if anyone remembers, several years ago, I got all upset about when we first started our permit renewal process, we were told that we would have a fairly high credit for the street sweeping that we do because it picks up not only litter, but it picks up sediment that's running off of the gutters, rain spouts, whatever. And by us sweeping, it's preventing it from going into the clean waterways. So we started around, it's been several years, so I'm not sure, it was 80-some% or 79%, and they took it down to like 8%. And that's huge. That's huge. So we had already spent the money on engineering and whatnot. Everyone had to regroup, but mainly us, because we were the hardest hit by that. And our engineer was like, by what they're requiring you to do, there's no way you could do enough green projects to meet that mandate. So we partnered with five other adjacent municipalities, including us, we would be 6. We partnered with 5 adjacent municipalities so that we can share in the credits. So if a project is done in North Cornwall Township, we get partial credit for that. But we're helping to pay for that green project in North Cornwall Township. So the total cost of these additional regulations with administrative costs in just 1 year is like $658,000 or $688,000. And then you times that by our 5-year permit term, and you're looking at more than $3.45 million. That's not something that the general fund could handle. So because of that, we created a stormwater fee, again, did a study, held public hearings, came up with a rate that would be fair to everyone. It's $60 per ERU, which is equivalent residential unit. Our commercial establishments pay additional monies on top of that. We have this separate fund that basically covers the cost of administration, engineering, legal costs, construction of these joint projects that we will get credit for. So this fund also covers the cost of the city cleaning a certain amount of catch basins each year. All of the other costs associated with our stormwater system pass through our general fund budget. So what we're going over today are none of those special projects. It's not the cleaning of the city's catch basin. It's the inspection of our outfalls. It's any mapping updates that we need to do, repairs to catch basin boxes, and maybe some smaller stormwater improvement projects, like if we replace a culvert or something like that. So going through this category, again, we have 2 inspectors that have been doing this for many years. They document and fill out on forms required by DEP the status of those outfalls. And So the first several line items will represent their salary. Vehicle fuel for H14, which is a jet vac piece of equipment, budgeting the same at 400. General expenses, the same at 8,000. Operating supplies, the same at 2,000. Vehicle repairs for that one vehicle, budgeting the same of 1,000. For contracted services, you'll see that we also are required to pay those stormwater fees, just like our residents and our businesses are required to pay them. Our fees are around $25,000, and so we pay that back into the fund to help fund these other projects. We're looking to replace a head wall on Rhinal Street, and we also rent, we used to borrow the authorities, but they sold theirs, a boom mower, so that we can mow the sides of the canals and the stream banks. So that's a decrease of $10,000 to $58,000, and that's mainly just because of a difference in stormwater projects that are being performed.
Mayor, with the MS4, have there been any updates? I know we talked some time back. Seems like the goalpost keeps moving. Has it just kind of,
Like, when our 5-year, let's see, that's 2018, so 2023 will be our next permit. Have you heard anything about them, like, increasing the percentage that we have to reduce or anything like that? Melissa, can you give her the? Oh,
Sorry, my fault.
thank you.
I let you down.
Stop,
One job.
wake up.
So, yes, there has been discussion at DEP about increasing all the minimum amounts for the municipalities, because even though they did what they did this last round, we still are not meeting our obligations. There has.
And you mean the state?
Correct. So, as the state gets a little more pressure from our adjoining states within the same watershed, the municipalities end up with the same thing. The consortium has been very vocal about it. As the mayor said, you know, we lost the battle of being able to prove that we had tangible measurements of cleaning by tonnage and cost. So everything that we've attempted to do so far has not gone very far with the state. They currently are pushing us for riparian buffer repairs and stream bank restorations. And as everyone knows, when we have flooding, the first thing that gets hit is our stream bank restoration. So it's been a battle. Our engineers have been working with DEP fervently to make sure that, you know, we are also being treated fair and equitably with this process.
has the state, our state legislature been involved, you know, representing us in this battle at all?
I think it started, the mayor and I actually went to the Capitol and gave testimony several years back and tried to lay out the unfairness of what was going on, but things have kind of quieted down. It doesn't seem that we can keep the momentum going with our legislators, even though we tell people that they should contact their legislators, that there's only so much we can do. You know, we're fighting the fight, but until they help us, we're not getting too far.
All right. Thanks for that update, Robin.
And just to be transparent, the city of Lebanon has not asked our legislators recently for any type of assistance. Like Robin indicated, we had gone to testify in front of a hearing, and I thought it went very well, but it's, you know, there has to be a different mindset on where you can get big results fairly quickly. And what we're doing is really not having big results very quickly to make an impact.
Yeah.
So Somebody has to think differently.
And of course, we're talking the federal level here, so ultimately. Okay.
Okay, so the total division would be $73,498. It's 11.7% decrease of $9,743. The next division is shade tree, budgeting the same of $2,000. And then we move to recycling. So the first couple line items are salaries and benefits, and then we move to vehicle fuel, budgeting the same at $3,000. General expenses budgeting the same at $2,000. Operating supplies a $300 increase to $1,500. Vehicle repairs the same at $4,000. Communication, $1,500 increase to $3,500. Printed forms, $100 increase to $600. Electric, the same at $700. Water sewer, the same at $2,000. Garbage removal, the same at $700. Improvement, repairs, and maintenance is a $6,500 decrease to $4,500. And then a recycling tipping fee line item is a decrease of $9,200 to $20,000. And then contracted services, which is mainly for educational outreach, the same at $500. So total recycling is $90,042. So it's a $9,806 decrease, 9.8% decrease. And that is mainly because there's a decrease in the recycling tipping fees, and we completed a camera upgrade in 2021 that we don't have in the 2022 budget. So the total public work expenditures is $250,323 more, or 10.96% increase, to $2,533,822. The next division are our interfund transfers. That's increasing to $184,518. That funding will be transferred into the capital reserve fund to assist with the future replacement of the underground fuel tanks at the highway garage facility, which is required by DEP, and the paving of the, it should be 9th and Walton. 9th and Walton downtown lot. I apologize for that. Overall, our total expenditures in all of our departments proposed to decrease by $28,891, which is 0.12% from the 2021 budget. So just to note, last year, our salary and benefit expenditures in the general fund budget represented 81.36% of the expenditures. That was the lowest percentage since my administration has prepared any of the budget packages for council. That percentage has ranged between a low of 80.37 in 2020 and a high of 84.50 in 2013. In this budget, the percentage compared to total expenditures is 79.32%, but don't get excited. Because although it represents the lowest percentage, it does not account for any increases in salaries in the fire department. So that will change once we go to arbitration and have an award. So as you can see, we are utilizing our carryover, our excess carryover, to balance the 2022 budget. And just to give you another piece of information, the Consumer Price Index, I always give you two different ones. So the August 2021 CPI that's posted in mid-December for the Philadelphia, Camden, Wilmington area. Again, the CPI is an indicator of the cost of living, and that increased by 4.65% in our regional area. The CPI for the Northeast urban area for September, which is posted mid-October, increased by 5.22%. So that's the general fund. And if there's no questions, I'm going to move to the liquid fuel. So The interest income definitely is going to be lower for 2022. We're proposing to budget 5,000 less to 3,000. Our winter maintenance agreement, that's a 5-year contract that we have with PennDOT, and that is 1,940, it's the same. Our state allocation, which is a calculation that PennDOT puts together based on population and miles of roads that you have in your municipality. We received notification that our allotment for next year will be $707,001. So we have approximately $10,000 more in that category for next year. Our turnback allocation, this is Act 32 money. This is mainly for Oak Street. This has been the same for as long as I've been here, $37,240. So we have a $5,240 increase in revenue in liquid fuel. So our expenditures, it's pretty much, you know, you're going to have a bad winter, mediocre, or a really good one where you don't have any snowstorms or any ice, just no winter weather at all. We never know. You know, we read the Farmer's Almanac. We do different things, but, you know, only God knows. So materials and supplies, we're budgeting the same at $100,000. That's for salt and liquid calcium, thank you. And contracted services is for snow hauling. We're budgeting $60,000, that's the same. And then highway construction and rebuilding, we're budgeting $6,000 to make some maintenance repairs to the wing walls on our bridges. And then under contracted services, this is the engineering for the 10th Street resurfacing project, and also paving for what we hope to be paving a portion of a street in Coleman Memorial Park that is most desperately needed. So you're going to see an increase there of $82,500. And that is mainly, again, for the engineering part of the 10th Street resurfacing project. So overall, it's an $82,500 increase for highway construction and rebuilding. If you move to the electric for the traffic signals, it's the same at $25,000. The electric for the street lights is the same at $400,000, for a total of $768,500 in liquid fuel expenditures. We have been putting money aside for several years to help pay our share of engineering for the 422-72 resurfacing project. So that's why you'll see, you know, a carryover balance there. We're allowed to do it for a major project like that. Typically, you're only allowed to have, is it 20 or 30%? 30, 20? You're usually what they suggest is only 20% of what your revenue comes in each year. They want you to put it into your roads and acceptable, eligible expenditures. But because of this large project, and that's a huge sum of money, we have been saving for several years. We've still been doing some resurfacing projects out of here, but they've been very small. Once we work ourselves through this major project, we'll be able to put more money into minor roads. Now, that's not to say that we haven't put money into paving, resurfacing projects, because we have. We've been using our CDBG money, and we've really put a large allotment of that into street resurfacing. In fact, and I think I said this a few months ago, under my administration, we put more money into bridges and streets than any other administration. So we're not slacking. It's just like all other municipalities, especially third-class cities in our state, there just isn't enough money. There should be more money going towards streets. But until that happens, I think we're doing okay, especially compared to other cities. But we could always use more money for streets. I don't want to give the impression that, you know, it's acceptable where we are, but what our plan right now is to try and do the more heavily traveled roads. So when we're done with this major resurfacing project, we'll have 422 and 72 done in the city. We've been working on Lehman Street. Once we finish that, that's another more heavily traveled road. And we want to move to Maple Street and work on some other little streets that have major problems. So we have, so for next year, we'll have the Coleman Memorial Park, a portion of that main road through the park. We're going to continue to work on Lehman Street heading easterly. We got from Freeman Street to 7th Street done this year. We're going to be looking at Walton Street, a couple blocks of Walton Street that are in really bad shape. Liberty Street between Walton and Chestnut as a part of the Liberty Trail Park because it involves stormwater improvements being necessary. And then, of course, we'll have our large resurfacing project of 10th Street. And then in 2023, we'll be working on the next phase of the resurfacing project, which would be 9th Street, and then a small section of Maple Street. And hopefully, we'll also be able to continue working on Lehman Street. And then the years after, of course, the next phase and final phase of the resurfacing project will be Cumberland Street. We'll continue with Lehman Street, Maple Street. And also, you know, there are a couple intersections which are not very good. As a part of Lehman Street, once we get down to Lincoln Avenue, that's one intersection that's pretty rumbly. So Lincoln and Lehman, that will be taken care of with Lehman Street when we get down to that. So, but we're looking a couple years down the road, so we need to have, hopefully, patience. And then, of course, 7th and Maple, hopefully, when we work ourselves down to Maple Street, you know, we'll be able to take care of that intersection. But that's really, really costly. We're looking at how much for that intersection?
Well, we had priced it several years ago, and they were at $250,000 to do it the right way, to redo the curbs, to redo the stormwater, catch basins. It was $250,000 was the estimate. And
So-
I'm sorry,
No.
if I just can, we also at that point in time priced what it would cost to do every street in the city, and we were at $30 million. So just to give you an idea of what it was several years ago, and now that the
today?
prices are increasing, we would estimate you're probably closer to 60.
Well, maybe,
I think more than that.
maybe we'll get a piece of this trillion-plus infrastructure money that's going out.
Well, anybody that has an in, please take liberties.
Dan, would you take care of that, please?
With Joe Biden, I have no end, sorry.
But I mean, we could, in all seriousness, we could possibly see money from this infrastructure portion of the budget.
Unless they changed it, because I know I had looked at the original that they put out, and it was only for new infrastructure,
Okay.
not existing. So they would have to change the language of the available money.
Interesting, thank you.
So that is your general fund liquid fuel budget package. Any questions for me? Because I don't think I talked enough.
Council, questions?
I don't think so.
No, good job.
Yeah, good job.
Thank you. Thank you to my staff.
Yes, thank you, Mayor,
Everyone's worked
and
really
your
hard for the
staff.
last couple of months.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Alisher, you're the only guest tonight. Okay. I guess we will be getting back together Wednesday at 4:45,
11:10,
11:10.
where we will introduce the budget.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Chris.
Chris.
Take care, buddy.